So let's call this class 18 on the Golden Doves. Um, Continuing in the introduction, Roman numeral 18, third paragraph. Iteration of the Golden Doves results in countless silver dots variations. So again, the Golden Doves is the ideality, what the first person is thinking. The silver dots is the second person, what the second person perceives. So now, you repeat the Golden Doves, you repeat the words, you repeat it, you attempt to convey a message, right? So that's the iteration of the Golden Doves. And with the iteration of the Golden Doves, which of course is the Torah, you repeat the Torah, you listen to the words of the Torah. There's countless silver dots variations, right? Because there's many panim to the Torah. Since ideality and articulation are not reducible to one another, there is a constant tension between the golden doves and the silver dots, which is resolved in an infinite series of variations, right? So, for example, there's Shavim Panim La Torah, but there's the Shishim Ribo Panim. So every person, every second person, receives the golden doves and views the silver dots from a slightly different perspective, right? And every time he hears it in a slightly different way. So you have an infinite, he uses the word, infinite series of variations, right? That's why there's no bet midrash without a chidush. There's always going to be a chidush. This is the idea of the Torah, the words being alive and dynamic. They generate meaning. It's not static. In Greek thinking, the words are covering a truth, and once you peel away the word and you see the truth, right? You uncover, right? You discover the truth. So you peel away the words, and then you reach the truth. And that truth is static. It's actually, in Greek thinking, a recollection, a reminiscence. The word in Greek for discovering is aletheia. So that is Greek thinking. In Judaism, the words are alive. You're not discovering, you're not uncovering the truth. But rather, the words themselves, they generate sparks, they generate meaning, they generate truth. Or to be more precise, the interaction between the reader and the words is what generates the sparks and what generates the truth. So there's an infinite number of silver dots, because every interaction with the text, with the Golden Doves is the text, right? Every interaction between the second person, reading the text and the text is going to generate new silver dots, new sparks, new lights. And my father has a footnote here. Infinite is exclusive and should not be confused with total, right? For example, there is an infinity of numbers whose factor is 3. But 1, 2, 4, and 5 are not among them. So here you see that infinity does not imply totality. There's a difference between infinity and totality. I'm wondering why my father had any kaparat mishkavo mentions that. Why do I need to know that infinity is not totality? Interesting. I have some thoughts, but I'm just not 100% sure. So I'm not going to share those thoughts, at least not at this point. But just think about that. My father is emphasizing the difference between infinity and totality. Continuing in the text. The derasha serves to express these variations. Right? So what is a derasha? Okay. So through the derasha, we can express the various silver dots, right? To begin with, the derasha implies a denial of a supreme reading. That's so important. The fact that there's Every person has a right to interact with the text and be doresh the text, right? What does that mean? That is the exact opposite of Greek thinking. Because in Greek thinking, there is an absolute truth. And the words of the text are there to bring you to that absolute truth. And once the words bring you to that truth, you don't need the words anymore because now you have the truth. In Torah thinking, that is completely foreign. That is a foreign notion in Torah thinking, right? And that's why the idea of derasha. To begin with, the derasha implies a denial of a supreme reading, of a supreme synthesis, capable of concentrating all shades of emotions and meaning. You can't have a reading, which is the reading, that basically says, this is the reading. And that reading pushes out all other readings. Because no, every person has a right to interact with the text. I just want to say something here. Because I know like some people take this to an extreme. So why can't the Goy interact with the text? Why can't the Jew who doesn't believe in Torah Shabbat interact with the text? Why can't anybody just interact with the text? Is it a free-for-all? Let's say I'm a secularist. Let's say I'm a Bible chas v'shalom, a Bible critic chas v'shalom. Right? So why can't I interact with the text? And that's a different story. Just because every reader can interact with the text doesn't make you a reader. Right? The same way if Reuven is speaking to Shimon, he's having a private conversation with Shimon. Shimon is the second person, Reuven is the first person. Shimon has a right to interpret the words of Reuven. Yes. Because the words are spoken to him. Levi, standing on the side, does not have a right to interpret the words because the words are not spoken to him. He may understand the words. He may. But his interpretation of the words is not relevant. Because it's first and second person. So the Torah was spoken to the Jewish people. The Jewish people are the ones who have the lay mental. If you don't have the lay mental just because you were biologically a Jew or because you eat gefilte fish on Shabbos or whatever else you do, doesn't give you the right to interpret the text. I just want to make sure that we're not talking about a free-for-all. We're talking about people to whom the words were spoken, which is Am Yisrael HaKesherim, Shekiberu Aleim Torah u'Mitzvot. They're the ones who can legitimately interact with the text and generate new silver dots. That's really important because I've seen people wanting to take this to a direction that it should not be taken to. Derasha is the earmark of scholarship and creative thinking, right? Because for us, derasha, reading is an art form. Reading is like painting. It's like, some people, they like to paint, and that's beautiful. They probably feel great about it. Am Yisrael, the Chachamim, love reading the Pesukim and seeing new things, new nuances in the words, in the ideas, in the combination of words. That's derasha. According to the rabbis, there are 4 classes of educated men: the sage, the disciple of the sages, one who is in the habit of reading, and one who can only follow the reading of others. And I'm going to stop here.